The average person spends 2.5 hours a day on distractions. That's 912 hours a year, enough to write a novel, train for a marathon, or binge every Marvel movie 30 times. You're not lazy, you're not undisciplined. Your brain is literally wired to sabotage your time. Neuroscientists at UCLA found that resisting distractions burns 12% more glucose than focused work. But what if you could hack your biology, steal strategies from Olympic athletes and Fortune 500 CEOs, and turn 24 hours into 48? You are going to get an insane amount of information. I will give real-life examples, rules, and the science behind each rule. Trust me, this is the only video you need, and you will never waste your time again. So, grab a notebook, a pen, and some coffee. Sarah was an ER nurse, super busy with lots of things to do every single day. She had to handle emergency patients, make important decisions, and even fill out loads of paperwork. But not all of it needed her special skills. Sarah realized that tasks like filling out forms and organizing schedules, which felt urgent, weren't really that important for her to do herself. So she asked the interns to take care of that work for her. And as a result, she saved 11 hours every week. And with that extra time, she finally got to chase her dream, learning to fly a plane and earning her pilot's license. The Eisenhower Matrix is a way to help you figure out what you should work on right away, what can wait, what someone else can do, and what you don't need to do at all. It's like a sorting game for your tasks. You put everything into 4 categories: urgent and important. These are the things you need to do right now, like fixing an emergency or finishing homework due tomorrow. Not urgent, but important. These are your big dreams or goals, like practicing soccer, learning guitar, or reading a book for a project. You should make time for these because they're really important for your future. Urgent, but not important. These are things that feel like emergencies but don't really need you to do them, like Sarah's paperwork. She gave that to her interns. You can ask someone else to handle these tasks. Not urgent and not important. These are things you shouldn't spend time on at all, like playing your 10th video game round when your homework isn't done. It's okay to skip these. This rule helps you focus on what matters most while freeing up time by delegating or cutting out the rest. During World War II, the US Army did a study to understand why people made bad decisions during stressful situations. They found something called decision fatigue. This happens when your brain gets tired from making too many choices, like deciding what to do first when everything feels important. Dwight D. Eisenhower, who later became the US president, used this idea to stay calm and focused when making big decisions, like planning for D-Day. By sorting tasks into the 4 categories, he avoided wasting energy on things that weren't important, which helped him and his team succeed. This strategy still works today to manage stress and stay productive. Elon Musk, the guy who makes rockets and electric cars, is super busy and values every second of his time. Instead of letting meetings drag on forever, he gives each meeting just 5 minutes to get everything done. A startup CEO thought this was a cool idea and decided to try it too. This CEO used to spend 20 hours every week in meetings, but by keeping them short and focused, they cut those meetings down to just 3 hours a week. That saved them 17 hours to work on other important things or just relax. Parkinson's law teaches us that work grows to fill the time you give it. Imagine your teacher says you have a whole week to finish a drawing. You might wait until the very last day to start it, and it'll take forever to finish because you have so much time. But if your teacher says you only have 1 hour to do this, suddenly you focus like a laser and get it done faster. Back in 1955, a British Navy study discovered that people take as much time as they're given to finish their work. This means if you tell someone they have a whole day to do something small, they'll stretch it out and use the whole day. But when time is limited, people find ways to work faster and get the job done. By setting tight deadlines, you trick your brain into working smarter and not wasting any time. This idea became known as Parkinson's law and is still used today to stay productive. Cal Newport, a famous author, works on 4 books at the same time. How does he manage to do that without getting confused or overwhelmed? He splits his day into blocks. In the mornings, he focuses only on writing Book A. No distractions, no emails. Then in the afternoons, he switches to Book B. By sticking to these blocks of time, Cal can focus deeply on one thing at a time, finish his work faster, and still have time left for his family and hobbies. It's like he gives each book its own special time to shine. Time blocking is a way to organize your day so your brain doesn't get distracted. Imagine dividing your day into chunks, like building with Lego blocks. Each block is for just one task. For example, you might spend 90 minutes on homework, then take a 20-minute break to rest or grab a snack. After that, you spend another block of time reading, doing chores, or playing outside. The key is to focus only on one thing during each block. Don't try to juggle multiple things like texting friends while doing your homework. That just makes everything take longer. You can even color code your blocks on a calendar to stay organized, like using blue for study time, green for fun time, and yellow for breaks. It makes your day feel less messy and more like a puzzle that fits together perfectly. In 2023, researchers at UC Berkeley studied something called attention residue. That's when your brain struggles to focus because it keeps thinking about the last thing you were working on. For example, if you stop writing your essay to check Instagram, part of your brain stays stuck on Instagram, even when you go back to the essay. The study showed that task switching or jumping between different things wastes a ton of brain power and makes it harder to focus. Time blocking fixes this by letting you stick to one thing at a time, so your brain can work at its best. With focused blocks of work and planned breaks, you'll get more done in less time. There was a teacher who used to feel really stressed out because her inbox was always full of emails from parents. She thought, I'll just save them for later. But then later would turn into tomorrow, and the emails would pile up even more. One day, she decided to try something new. Anytime she got an email that she could reply to in under 2 minutes, she answered it right away. Suddenly, her inbox stayed neat, and her stress disappeared. She had more time to focus on her students and relax at home. The 2-minute rule is super simple. If something will take you less than 2 minutes to do, just do it right away. Don't wait. Don't overthink it. This works for little things like replying to a quick email, putting your clothes in the laundry basket, or cleaning up your desk. These tiny tasks might seem small, but if you let them pile up, they start feeling like a huge mountain. By finishing them as soon as they pop up, you stop them from becoming a bigger problem later. In 2019, scientists at Stanford discovered something interesting about your brain. When you finish a small task, like answering a text or crossing something off your to-do list, your brain releases a happy chemical called dopamine. It's like getting a little reward. These small wins make you feel good and give you energy to tackle bigger tasks. The more tiny things you finish, the more momentum you build, like a snowball rolling downhill and getting bigger and faster. That's why doing even the smallest tasks right away can make a big difference in how productive and happy you feel. There was a Wall Street trader who used to work non-stop all day, but he always felt tired and made mistakes. Then he learned about his brain's natural energy patterns called ultradian rhythms. Instead of working all day without breaks, he started doing his most important trades during his peak energy times, those 90-minute bursts when his brain was sharpest. After each sprint, he took a 20-minute break to recharge, like going for a walk or just relaxing. Guess what? By following this pattern, he doubled his profits because he was working smarter, not harder. Our body and brain have a natural rhythm throughout the day, kind of like waves going up and down. These are called ultradian rhythms, and they're like little energy cycles that last about 90 minutes. During that time, your brain is super focused and ready to work hard, but after 90 minutes, your energy dips, and you start to feel tired or distracted. That's your brain's way of saying, hey, I need a break. Here's how to use this rule. Work on something important for 90 minutes. No distractions, just pure focus. Then take a 20-minute break to recharge. You can go for a walk, meditate, or even take a quick nap. After the break, you'll feel refreshed and ready for the next 90-minute sprint. It's like hitting the reset button for your brain. In the 1960s, researchers studying sleep discovered that the brain goes through cycles of high and low activity, even when we're awake. These cycles, called ultradian rhythms, are why you feel super focused sometimes and totally drained at other times. When you push through your natural low-energy moments without a break, your brain struggles to stay productive, and you end up working slower and making mistakes. By syncing your work with these 90-minute cycles and taking regular breaks, you can get more done and feel less exhausted by the end of the day. It's all about working with your brain, not against it. There was a novelist who struggled with writer's block. She could never figure out how to continue her story the next day. Then she tried something clever. At the end of her writing session each day, she stopped mid-sentence instead of finishing her thoughts. By doing this, her brain kept working on the story in the background while she slept. The next morning, she'd wake up with fresh ideas because her mind had auto-completed the scenes overnight. Almost like magic. This simple trick helped her write faster and with less stress. Zeigarnik effect happens when your brain keeps holding on to unfinished tasks like they're really important. It's like when you're trying to fall asleep, but your mind keeps reminding you about something you forgot to do, like bringing your homework to school or replying to a friend's message. Your brain doesn't like open loops. It wants to finish things. Here's the trick. Write down anything you haven't finished or need to do tomorrow before bed. Even just making a list can help your brain let go of those thoughts because it knows they're written down and won't be forgotten. It's like telling your brain, "Don't worry, I've got this." This helps you sleep better and focus more the next day. In 1927, a psychologist named Bluma Zeigarnik studied how our brains react to unfinished tasks. She found that when we don't complete something, it stays in our subconscious, making us feel restless or distracted. But when we write those tasks down or close the loop by planning to finish them later, our brain feels calm and can let go. That's why this method works so well. It clears the mental clutter and gives your mind the peace it needs to be productive. There was a student who really wanted to pass the bar exam to become a lawyer, but waking up early to study was a constant struggle. Every morning, the snooze button seemed way too tempting, and they kept putting off getting out of bed. Then they tried the 5-second rule. As soon as the alarm rang, instead of hitting snooze, they counted down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and jumped out of bed like a rocket launching. This trick helped them wake up at 5 a.m. every day, giving them plenty of time to study and eventually pass the bar exam. The 5-second rule is a simple way to stop procrastinating and take action quickly. Here's how it works. When you know you need to do something but feel like putting it off, whether it's getting out of bed, starting homework, or answering an email, just count backward. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. By the time you get to 1, don't overthink it. Just do it. The countdown interrupts your brain's habit of hesitating and gives you a push to get started. Mel Robbins, who came up with the 5-second rule, studied how the brain works when we hesitate. She found that your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain that helps you make decisions, can kick into gear when you take immediate action. By counting down from 5, you focus your mind on the countdown instead of making excuses or procrastinating. This simple trick activates your brain and breaks the cycle of hesitation, helping you get things done faster and more confidently. It's like giving your brain a little nudge to make the first move. There was a CEO who realized that some clients caused way more problems than they were worth. About 20% of the clients were responsible for 80% of complaints, stress, and wasted time. So instead of trying to make everyone happy, the CEO decided to drop those troublesome clients. Sure, the company's profit dropped by 5%, but the CEO's happiness skyrocketed. They had less stress, a more peaceful work environment, and more time to focus on the clients who truly mattered and appreciated the company's services. The Pareto principle is a simple but powerful idea. Most results come from just a few key efforts. In other words, 20% of your actions lead to 80% of your results. For example, imagine you're studying for a test and only 20% of the material is super important. That's the part that will show up in most of the questions. Instead of wasting time studying everything, focus on that 20% to get better results faster. Here's how you can use this rule. Each week, look at the tasks you've been working on and figure out which ones really make a difference. Are there things you're spending a lot of time on that aren't helping? Cut them out or spend less time on them. Focus your energy on the small percentage of tasks that drive the biggest results. This works for businesses, schoolwork, chores, or even friendships. In 1906, an Italian economist named Vilfredo Pareto noticed that 20% of the pea pods in his garden produced 80% of the peas. He realized this pattern shows up everywhere in life, not just peas. For example, 20% of customers in a store usually bring in 80% of the sales, and 20% of your efforts bring in 80% of the success. Scientists use this idea to study how to work smarter, not harder. By focusing on the most important parts, you get the best results without wasting time on the things that don't matter. A busy mom of 3 kids felt like her mornings were always chaotic, packing lunches, chasing the kids, and trying to get everyone out the door. She barely had a moment to breathe. Then, she decided to wake up just 30 minutes earlier every day. Instead of diving straight into the chaos, she used that time to sit in silence with a cup of tea and watch the sunrise. Those quiet 30 minutes made her mornings feel calm and peaceful, helping her start the day with less stress and more energy to handle everything. Time affluence means feeling like you have enough time, even when life is busy. It's not about cramming more into your day, it's about making space for moments that matter, like a quiet break, to relax, or just letting yourself breathe. To practice this, schedule white space in your day, blocks of unplanned time where you don't have to do anything at all. These moments give your brain a break from always being on and let you enjoy life without the constant rush. Even just 10 to 30 minutes a day of white space can make a big difference. You could spend this time sipping tea, going for a walk, or daydreaming. It might feel strange at first, but it helps you slow down and feel more in control of your time. In 2022, researchers at Yale found that people who believe they have enough time are less stressed, happier, and more productive. This mindset is called time abundance. On the flip side, always feeling rushed or like there's never enough time can actually increase stress and make you feel exhausted. By carving out white space every day, you train your brain to feel more relaxed and abundant, which helps reduce stress and boost your well-being. It's like giving yourself permission to pause and enjoy the moment. There was a cashier who wanted to change his life and get a better job, but he didn't have a lot of free time. He decided to focus on learning how to code, even though he didn't know anything about it at first. Every morning, for the first 90 minutes of his day, he practiced coding. He did this every single day for 90 days. By the end of 6 months, he was skilled enough to get a remote job in tech, making $85,000 a year. His dedication to that one skill completely changed his life. This rule is super simple, but really powerful. For the next 90 days, spend the first 90 minutes of your day working on one skill or project that can change your life. That's it. Just focus on one thing during that time. The reason this works is that mornings are usually when your brain is the most fresh and focused. By dedicating those golden 90 minutes to something important, like learning a new skill or working on a big goal, you make steady progress every single day. Over time, those small efforts add up to huge results. The 90-91 rule combines two big ideas, the 10,000-hour rule and Parkinson's law. The 10,000-hour rule says it takes focused practice to become great at something. Meanwhile, Parkinson's law says that work will stretch to fill the time you give it. By limiting your focused effort to the first 90 minutes of the day, you avoid distractions and make the most of your time. This approach also helps build momentum because you're putting consistent effort into one life-changing skill. It's like planting a seed and watering it every day. You'll see it grow into something amazing. If you have come to this part of the video, I highly appreciate that. And it means you really want to change your life. If you apply each rule in your life, you will never waste your time again. I put in a lot of effort to make this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. You can also support the channel on Patreon. Link is in the description.